Hello, beautiful souls. I think today might be day 20 in my rebellious reality. 19 or 20, not sure. Don't feel like I really want to share. I feel so much resistance about sharing what I did today because it's not fun. It's not fun. And basically, what's been going on the past couple of days, really it's been for a while, but for about a week I've been having awarenesses come up about just like the state of my nervous system and my body. And like I said, yesterday was really heavy. I sat with all of that. Getting a lot. I'm becoming better at sitting with discomfort, which feels like shit, you know. I've spent a lot of my life running from it, numbing it, and sitting with it. It's just not fun. It's just not fun, you know. But you learn a lot, and you move through shit. And when you feel it and you sit with it, like it ends up going away eventually, instead of running from it and numbing it, and it just stays in that loop. So it's essential, but it's not fun, like I said. And I have been specifically just noticing how it's like I've released so much energy, so much trapped energy from my body, from my nervous system. And yet with all of that, it's like I'm starting to still realize how clenched and how constricted and how tightly my body holds itself, like this core holding pattern that exists as like literally like the root, the foundation of my entire being. And the reason I say that is because it's something that was developed when I was a baby. As babies, we all we can do is viscerally contract. Visceral is like our visceral organs, you know, our organs are visceral. It's like on the deepest level of our tissue. So one of the only coping styles that babies have is to viscerally contract and constrict when it comes to discomfort or other things. And that's what I keep getting this awareness of, is like, I don't even know how to describe it other than that. It's like my entire inner workings of my body are just so clenched, and it's like nothing can get in, nothing. And to sit with that and to feel that and to understand the ramifications that has in my life and how that bleeds into every other aspect of my life, it's not fun. And to feel it is not fun. But it caused me to pick up some books today and to just keep learning about this shit, because at the end of the day, I believe we all have a purpose, a journey, that everything happens for a reason. I refuse to be a victim to this bullshit. I refuse. My life will be dedicated to me finding a solution to the things that I have personally been inflicted with, so that I can help other people not suffer the way that I feel I have suffered. And so I have this feeling, this like, it's like this shit, this trauma inside of us, the state of our nervous system. It begins when we're young, and it is ingrained so deeply in us. And so what is kind of taught is that it takes a while. It can take a while to heal it. And I don't want to buy that shit. I want to break that narrative open. I want to burn that narrative to the ground. I don't want it to take a long time. I don't want to believe it has to take a long time. I don't want to buy that. And so something that I've really was really thinking about that today is like how can we like speed up this process? How can it not have to take so long? Because at the end of the day, time is everything. To me personally, time is like, quality time is my love language. Like I will die protecting my time. Like time is like everything for me personally. So when I look at this, it's like I'm burning time. This is my only life. Like let's move faster. And again, it just goes to this whole rebellious nature that I have of like I want to question everything. I don't want to just get spoon-fed shit anymore. I want to ask why. Why does it take a long time? Does it have to take a long time? And of course, just with every other thing. But basically what I was doing today, I put one of the books away. I posted it in my Instagram story. I finished Healing Developmental Trauma, which was a book that cracked me open and caused me to have so much knowledge on what has gone on in my body and in my life. And it was a massive healing for me to read that book. So I finished that book, which was a perfect book for me to be reading when I'm pregnant, as fucked up as it was, and as much as I emotionally went through reading it and learning about all this stuff. I could not have asked for a better book to read and to know exactly what happened to my nervous system to avoid it hopefully happening to my child's nervous system. And then I started reading this modern attachment parenting book. It's so good. It's colorful, which makes it fun. And apparently the woman who wrote this was on the cover of Time magazine nursing her child. And it just gives so many good tidbits so far. I've read a couple chapters of it, and I love how short it is. It's so small. It's amazing. And then I did some healings on myself today, and then I tried to take a nap, and I couldn't. I don't know why. But then I got up immediately, and I was like, I need to grab these 2 books that I haven't finished, because I have a tendency to start books and not finish them. And I grabbed 2 books on trauma, and this is the book that I ended up continuing to read. It's called Transcending Trauma. And of course, right where I left off was when I stopped reading it before, was the place that was about attachment trauma and relational trauma, which is very much what I've been coming into with this developmental trauma. It's kind of the same thing. It's shit that goes on inside of you that basically severs you from the ability to relate to others, have relationships with others, and experience connection with others. So it fucking blows. So I've been reading about that, and learning so much. I read a bunch of this book today, and it looks at it through a different lens, and I just really love seeing things through a different lens. And then I took all kinds of mad scientist notes for my mind to understand. And and I'm gonna watch it talked about addiction, addiction. I'm gonna watch this TED talk about addiction too. I forgot that I had my TV paused on that, but it was talking about that specifically. Let me read. I highlighted a lot of stuff, but it says addiction and physical illness are rooted in relational trauma. Interesting. And there was one sentence. What's really interesting is that, okay, that's all I can find about addiction right now. What's really interesting that I found in reading these trauma books is that I have these episodes, like I'll read one sentence, and in this book there was one sentence today. In this other book there was multiple parts of it where I'll read one and I will go into like a full body like release of some kind. What happens when we have trauma from such a young age, trauma at all, but really trauma from such a young age, the kind that I identify with, which is like kind of relational connection trauma, is that we tend to go into almost like a lifelong freeze response. But behind that freeze response, it's like the freeze response comes from the system basically being completely on the gas pedal, the nervous system having its foot completely on the gas pedal. So you're like super revved up, but then your nervous system also has itself completely on the brakes. And so a freeze happens, but you're highly gassed and highly braked. It's really fucked up, but that's the energy that's going on in the body. And what happens is that all of that gassed up energy is playing in the background. It's trapped in the body. It never gets released. And so what happens when I read these sentences is I will have like a thawing episode is what I call it. And I've read about thawing. I've never heard anyone describe it the way I do or have experienced it the way I do, though I'm sure people have. But I will go into this entire, because I have this ability, even though I'm like so clamped, like I was telling you, like my nervous system is so like, I still have this ability to like go and melt almost into my body, and I'll just like start moving in whatever way. And like my jaw was going before, all these sounds were coming out. I was just letting my body move. And then of course, like I started crying throughout it. But I'll let myself go into these like thawing episodes where my knees were both going back and forth. Like my whole body has micro trembles. It's almost like a seizure. Like if I didn't have knowledge of this stuff and I had a lot of fear about my health, I guess, and my body, I would probably like be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm having seizures. But it's really my body releasing a fuck ton of energy that's been trapped in my system my whole life. So I don't even know how long that went on for. And it's really wild because I know everything that's happening and I can stop it at any time, but I choose to let my body move and do that stuff. But my mind will still be like, oh, well, how much longer are we going to do this? And whatever, my mind will still like play questions and play bullshit games in the background, but I just keep choosing to like let my body move. So yeah, that's what I've been up to today. Doesn't it sound grand? Don't you guys just want to come and hang out with me? Isn't it awesome? So the other book that I didn't start reading again yet is Waking the Tiger, Healing Trauma. This guy, Peter Levine, is pretty awesome. Brian says no. Brian knows all about this garbage. And, you know, it's really hard. It's really hard for me to not focus on this stuff when I feel it's really has a lot to do with what I go through on a daily basis. So I'm just going to keep learning more and more and more and letting all this fucking energy out and just drafting mad scientist notes and hopefully figuring out a fucking way to teleport our asses through this bullshit so it doesn't take so long, because I'm over it. I'm over it. I love you too, honey. So there's my honest share for the day. I'm really glad I shared, but like I said, I was having a lot of resistance about it. It is what it is, you know? All right. Stay strong. Have a beautiful night. We've also have like a new moon happening, like all kinds of stuff happening. So that could describe the energy too. Loving you all. See you tomorrow. Good night, sweetie.